Thank you, Roger. Our penultimate speaker is from our Greek section, see if I can get this one right, Xekinima. And I've had the privilege of going to our CWI European School. And our Greek section always electrify that event. After the July referendum and the subsequent sellout of Cyprus, members and supporters of Syriza didn't come out of the homes for over a week. They were so embarrassed to face the Greek working class. In stark contrast, our comrades the very next day were the only force to be out on the streets with leaflets in hand, and there was a real thirst for ideas. Please give a huge solidarity welcome to Andreas.
Thank you for the invitation, comrades. I'm sure you have followed the developments in Greece closely and have been inspired by the struggles of the Greek working class, which created the hope in millions of workers across the globe to break austerity at some point. You should also know that the Greek working class has also followed with thirst the developments across Europe and globally, hoping for support, looking for common struggles to fight against the common problems created by the global attack. The previous period has been one in which internationalism has gained new ground in Greece, but I also think internationally. I think workers across the continent and across the globe have followed each other's experience, trying to draw the lessons and the conclusions from this. And of course, the CWI tries to organize, to generalize the lessons from this experience. There are valuable lessons from the Greek experience. There are valuable lessons from the trade union and social struggles, but there are equally valuable lessons from the equally valuable political lessons, because the Greek working class built a party, tried to build a tool to fight against the ruling class, but that party joined the camp of the enemy. In the shortest period that we could imagine, Syriza crossed the border and went into the service of the ruling class. As regards the struggles of the Greek working class, I think it's nearly impossible to think of what else the Greek working class could have done on its own and without leadership in its fight against the troikans. Because we should never forget that the magnificent, colossal struggles of the past years always took place, always were imposed on the trade union leaderships, who always played the role of strike breakers. They were imposed, and they went against the leadership of the Communist Party, who scorned and split and sabotaged, actually, any struggle which was not controlled under their own control. And these struggles took place despite the limitations of Syriza's leadership, which never opposed these struggles, but at the same time, never initiated these struggles and never gave any kind of direction. In these conditions, the Greek workers organized, imposed on the trade union leadership, nearly 40 general strikes that lasted. They organized endless sectoral strikes, which lasted for months. They organized occupations, which lasted for weeks. They organized demonstrations, which led up to 800,000 workers, according to the bourgeois media, on the streets of Athens. There were times when there were 3 million people out in struggle in the period of 1 month. There were fantastic movements, like the no-pay movement and like the Occupy movement. And there were great examples of workers' control and management, like the ERT workers. Magnificent ingenuity, magnificent spontaneity, great determination, great self-sacrifice. But these movements were defeated. And we want to ask our friends, the anarchists, who always worship spontaneity, to explain what else could the Greek working class do spontaneously to be able to secure victory. What do they imagine when they say that leadership is not required? What is required is to invest in the rank and file initiative and in the rank and file ingenuity, because we had all of this in Greece. But the mass movement failed to be victorious, and the reason was one and only one. There was no leadership to plan the struggle. There was no leadership to provide direction and to provide an alternative political proposal, an alternative perspective, i.e., an alternative political program for a way out of the crisis of the system and against the policy of the Greek ruling class and of the Troika. So in the absence of this leadership, the Greek masses turned to a small party, which for about 3 decades was in the region of 3 to 4%. That was Syriza, different names over different times, no time to go into that, and turn it into a mass force to be used as a tool against the class enemy. But it was lions led by donkeys. Tsipras promised to end austerity, to provide health and education, to put the economy back on the path of growth, to take the minimum wage back to the pre-crisis level, to stop privatizations and to create jobs, but without touching the capitalist system, and through what he termed mutually fruitful negotiations with the European Union. Mutually fruitful negotiations with the ruling class, with the enemy. We will change Greece, he said, by building a bloc of the European South, meaning the governments, and we will force Merkel to retreat, German imperialism to retreat. How childish. We had many opportunities to discuss with sections of the leadership of Syriza, including Tsipras himself personally. And of course, we wrote in numerous articles explaining that it was absolute madness to believe that the Greek left government could impose on German imperialism the policies that the latter was to follow in the European Union and globally. We said that it was absolutely certain, and we said that to Tsipras personally. It was absolutely certain that if a Greek government went ahead with a program like the one Syriza promised, which was not a revolutionary program, it was a soft reformist program, it would be kicked out of the Eurozone. The leadership of Syriza refused to hear anything which went against their silly convictions. They were absolutely convinced that Greece could not be kicked out of the Eurozone. And what is the result of this conception? Complete capitulation, the third memorandum, new attacks on the living standards, on pensions, and the biggest ever privatization program that even New Democracy was not able to apply. How does Tsipras justify their stand? He says, we did our best, we fought, but they were too hard with us. They actually blackmailed us. The leadership of Syriza is trying to justify their outrageous naivety, the fact that they never understood that of course they would be blackmailed, and of course, from the moment that the European Central Bank controls the currency of the country, the European ruling class would suffocate the economy, would strangle the economy, and force the banks to close down as they did. The truth is that the leadership of Syriza never understood class struggle, never understood the character of the capitalist system, and never understood the class character of the European unity. But what is even more infuriating is their attempt to lay the blame on the people for their own, to cover their own cowardice. The Greek people, the Syriza leadership claims, never gave us a mandate to clash with the EU. This is their actual words. So then, what was the referendum of July 5? That was a tremendous week to live through. It was like a conspiracy of the bourgeois of the whole planet against the Greek working class. The rulers of the planet from Europe to the USA and to China, they turned to the Greek working class and warned, don't you dare vote against our will. Don't you dare vote no, because we will destroy you. This was essentially the threat. The campaign we saw on the part of the Greek ruling class and on the part of the bourgeois media has no precedent. It was a daily, minute-by-minute bombardment of this threat. If you vote no, we will be kicked out of the Eurozone and then we shall burn in hell. This will be the end of life in Greece. And the Greek working class responded in line with its class traditions. You want to fight us? We are ready. You want to fight us? We will fight. 61% voted no. It was a colossal victory for the Greek working class. It was 85% voted no in the working class neighborhoods. 85%. And Tsipras says he had no mandate to clash with the EU. What an insult to the Greek working class. We shall build on these traditions of struggle. We shall build on the lessons drawn from the experience of Syriza. The working class needs a political leadership in order to be able to be victorious in its war with the ruling class, but not just any leadership. Not a reformist leadership that believes it can provide a way out through mutually beneficial negotiations with the class enemy, but a leadership which understands class struggle and is ready to take the battle to the end. In other words, a revolutionary leadership. Reformism stands out exposed and naked in Greece in the eyes of thousands and tens of thousands of Greek workers. We will build on this. Tsipras may have won the elections, but only because he called the elections before the mass of the population could understand what the measures that he intended to apply were, which were really the measures that the government intended to apply, which was really the practical substance of the third memorandum. And of course, as a result of this, we had the biggest abstention rate ever in the electoral history of Greece. Greece provides a very valuable political lesson. Reformism means capitulation and means betrayal. We shall build on this. The future belongs to the working class and to the ideas of revolutionary socialism.